Right, breaking news, and you're seeing this at the bottom of your screen, the latest updates from the Economic Survey, and the countdown to Union Budget 2024 begins in earnest, because this is the document that will set the context for the presentation of this very important document by Modi 3.0. This, remember, is going to be the budget that sets the roadmap for growth heading into the next 5 years. At the very least, of course, it's going to talk about growth much further into the future as well. Very importantly, and Pallavi Nahata is joining me on this conversation, very importantly, this document, the Economic Survey, is talking about the growth projections and the outlook for the new financial year. It takes into account several disruptions on the global stage with regard to geopolitics, and it has given a projection of economic growth, GDP growth, of 6.5 to 7%. I'm reading straight from the document where it's saying that considering various factors, the survey conservatively projects a real GDP growth of 6.5 to 7%, with risks evenly balanced, cognizant of the fact that the market expectations are on the higher side. This is an important statement to make, Pallavi, and of course there's a lot more in the economic data and economic survey that we will go through, but the first and the most important point, a lower than RBI projection for GDP in the current financial year.
That's right. So the RBI does project GDP growth at about 7% or thereabout. And the government instead, the CEA in the economic survey, has chosen to give a range that's between 6.5 to 7%. You know, market expectations also remain closer to the RBI's estimate. And there is a fair chance, Alex, that over the next few quarters, especially given the resilience that we have seen in the Indian economy and the fact that GDP growth has almost consistently in recent quarters surprised on the upside, given the range by the government, we will see GDP growth closer to the 7% mark rather than the 6.5% mark. But of course, the economic survey does talk about the number of factors at play and how volatile some of these factors currently are. And as such, it is possibly a mark of caution that the CEA has chosen to give a range for now. It also
and those are the words that it uses. It says it's cautious about its projection.
That's right.
It's speaking about what the IMF is projecting on the global stage. The global economy is set to grow at 3.2% in 2024. The average annual global growth rate was 3.7% during the decade ending FY20, that is the financial year ending 20. Now, it's talked about several aspects in the global stage, but on the downside, it's saying that any escalation of geopolitical conflicts in 2024 could in fact lead to supply dislocations and higher commodity prices. This is something that the RBI has pointed to in several occasions when it is chosen caution and pragmatism and said that it is not yet ready to consider easing of monetary policy. It is also saying that this could, in fact, the economic survey is saying that this could influence the RBI's monetary policy stance. The global trade outlook for 2024, according to the survey, remains positive, with merchandise trade expected to pick up after registering a contraction in volumes. It also speaks, Pallavi, about the monsoon and the fact that it is still a little cautious despite the projection for a normal monsoon, because ultimately what matters is the spatial distribution.
Right. Yes, we have seen the monsoons remain fairly volatile. June started off on a bit of a weak wicket, but we have seen the monsoons gain momentum in July, and that perhaps explains the caution being exercised on that front as well. While the deficit that we had seen in June has been made up for by excessive rainfall in several parts of the country. In July, we're still to see what August and September look like. But interestingly, it's, you know, especially given the agricultural implications, it's July which is a key determinant of what the output for the year is going to be like, because that's when the Kharif sowing takes place. But Alex, I'd also like to quickly draw attention to, the economic survey addressing the statistical system. Now, the reason this is, of interest to me at least, is because of the fact that we have had multiple controversies in recent years regarding the MOSPI and, around the GDP, IIP, inflation, but of course, more than other indicators, the GDP or the lack of the census, we're running late on that as well, and that has had implications on the accuracy of government data. So the government has actually taken the bull by the horn, so as to say, and addressed some of those concerns around India's statistical system. It has also outlined steps that are continuously being taken by the government to strengthen the statistical base. So that's definitely something that is something we're going to be watching out for in the coming months. We are expecting a rebasing in the CPI as well. A lot of concerns around the GDP. And these are all works in progress. Like the government has said, it is looking into addressing a lot of these concerns and challenges.
Yeah. So it's interesting. That's certainly something to watch for. A more immediate thing that you would want to look at is why the economic survey has been a little cautious with regard to its projection on GDP, where it said 6.5 to 7%. That's a pretty broad range if you think about it. It says that domestic growth drivers have broadly supported economic growth in FY24, that is the previous financial year, despite uncertain global economic performance. It is said that improved balance sheets will help the private sector cater to strong investment demand. But it's saying that there is a note of caution that is warranted here. It says that private capital formation after good growth in the last 3 years may turn slightly more cautious because of fears of cheaper imports from countries that have excess capacity.